Hello there, I'm Mitch Goldberg. You are watching Be the Boss of Your Money. Today is going to be a little different. The topic today is getting ready for 2021. There are many aspects to getting ready for 2021. It's a big undertaking, and I have an expert to help us do exactly that. He's one of my closest friends. His name is Frank Morizio Jr. He's a consultant. He'll tell you all about this stuff. He's a coach. He also has decades of experience as a top performer in the insurance industry, and I'm going to bring him right in. So first, we're just going to roll a quick introduction, and then I'm going to bring out Frank, and he's going to give us the goods. So stick around. We're getting started. And we're back. You're watching Be the Boss of Your Money, my live stream show every Monday through Thursday at 4:30. We talk about personal finance, business strategy, investing tips, and everything that falls under that umbrella, like planning. And now we want to talk about planning for 2021 and make it your best year ever, especially after the 2020 that is just about to end, thank goodness. So without further ado, here is Frank Morizio Jr. How are you, Frank?
Hey, I'm great, Mitch. How are you?
I am pumped, man. I am so pumped to have you. You're one of my closest friends. And when I first started going live, like you and I were doing this together, and it was just a lot of fun and testing all the equipment. And now here we are. We're like in the world of LinkedIn Live for sure. We're like old timers at this already.
As a matter of fact, we did a Welcome to 2020 show just about a year ago now on what we were going to do. And don't use that as a judge, folks. We were way wrong. Nobody knew what was going to happen this year, but we've improvised, adapted, and overcome. And we're going to talk about brand new strategies and how to hit the ground running as soon as that ball drops.
It's like my 5-year plan that I wrote in 2015 didn't work out the way I expected, but we have to pivot. We have to adjust. And, talk about adjusting and recalibrating and re-aiming. You're a Marine also, right?
That's right.
And we talked before we started this a little bit about your experience, but just to kick things off, you gave me an expression, your hall pass has already been punched for 2020. What do you mean?
Yeah. So if you're in sales and marketing and you have an audience, community, as we've come to call it, no matter what you did in 2020 is pretty much at this point excused. However, it's also expired. So we had a time where, it was a way for you to separate yourself from your competition. It was a way for you to really cement your relationships by reaching out to your network, just seeing how people are doing, asking how you could be of service, asking how they're feeling. And that was all great. Traditional prospecting is back in action now, and people are doing it. And whatever you did in 2020, however your year ended up, a really great year, some of us not so much, it's all forgiven, all in the rearview mirror, and there's a new opportunity right now to get back in touch with all of your clients, your centers of influences, your prospects, everybody that you should be talking to. Now's the time to talk to them. You got to set the table for 21 right now.
But I feel like, yes, you had a pass. We went into the lockdown. Everybody was forgiven. Maybe, we weren't as sharp as we could be, or as attentive as we could be. But that time is over. It's time to get back to life. And we need to talk about planning. There's an old expression, a man who plans. Well, I'm going to say that. Let me start that again. A person who fails to plan is a person who plans to fail. Something like that. Man, I botched that one up. I've said it a million times too. That's the beauty of going live. You never know what's going to come out of my mouth.
Unscripted, it just rolls right out.
I've said some funky things in our emails and our live streams before, our emails too. But so what should someone do if they're sitting down now? It's almost the end of the year. What do you do? You take out a pen and pad, you write your goals down and work backwards, or do you put your goals down in order of how they should be achieved? Help me plan for my 2021. I guess we'll take in terms of, do you want to take this in terms of like business planning or personal planning, or is it the same thing to you?
So Tuesday, it's my LinkedIn video series. I spent all of 2020 through everything we've been through. I did 52 consistent consecutive weeks of a 2-minute or less tip. It aired on LinkedIn. It aired on my YouTube channel, went on my Facebook page. And really, there were 4 categories of Morizioisms. There were, 4 categories of Tip Tuesdays. There were the Morizioisms, which are phrases that I've used really to run not just my business, but my life over these some 49 years. There were the life hacks.
How many years?
49, coming up on the big 50.
Wow. Oh, you'll get your new AARP cards probably a few months before you turn 50.
I can't wait for those discounts. Bring them on. So we had the life hacks, the business tips, and then the motivation series. So in my practice, I help people not only with their life, but I help them with their business, their sales practice, their marketing practice, their outreach, their campaigns. So when you're goal setting, yes, what you started to say, Mitch, write them down, because if you don't have a written battle plan, how are you going to get up every day and attack the beach? You might jump off the ship and swim to shore, but if you don't have the Navy out there lobbing in some bombs and the Air Force up there, taking care of the reconnaissance and looking and seeing what you're coming into, well,
softening the targets, as they say.
If you're not softening them up, you're not going to have a very successful campaign. So my battle plan is really an all of the above battle plan. You have to take all of the prospecting techniques. You got to get them in there and turn them into action towards your goal. Some people have a monetary goal. Some people compete against themselves. Some people have a client acquisition goal. There are, various different KPIs that people use, and I even hate that abbreviation, key performance indicators. So you can chase anything you want, but successful people keep score. You have to chase something. So get it down on paper, carry it around, have a battle plan every day.
Okay. So if I was going to make a battle plan, would you say I put I'm a very process driven person as opposed to results driven. And some people will say everyone's got to be results driven. No, I believe it's the right process gets you the right results.
Exactly.
So should I be making a year-end goal, or I have family goals, I have fitness goals, I have business goals, and not all of my business goals are necessarily, they're not just necessarily about how much revenue I could produce. There are other goals. I have charitable goals, and I guess you list them, and then you work backwards to January 1st and say, what are the goals that I need to do that day? What achievements do I need to hit by the end of that month? Because a lot of people, make New Year's resolutions, which sound like goals. Mm-hmm. And then like 90% or, most people, almost all people, their New Year's resolutions go out the window by the middle of February. Yeah. Because a resolution is not a goal. Right. And by the way, folks, if you're watching out there live right now, we both appreciate it tremendously. We would love to answer your questions in the comments. So ask your questions right now. Hit us up. I already see a few comments coming up. I'll put those on the screen momentarily. And if you're watching this in the replay, I want to welcome you as well. We're talking about planning for 2021, and we'll just get right back to Frank. We've got a couple of thumbs up. So we've got my friend Steve Schlansky out there. We've got Judy out there. Thank you so much. And so let's go on. So I think it's maybe tough, to go from resolution to goal. So I guess now is a time when people talk about my New Year's resolutions. I'm going to eat and drink like a slob for the rest of the year, and it'll just fix everything magically January 1st. And it doesn't seem to work.
No, I mean, I think we both know, we've discussed this. I think Gym Liberation Day, which is resolutioners stop showing up. It's about 6 weeks into the year. It's actually a really happy time for gym owners, and they've certainly suffered this year. They're open, they're not open, they're reopened, they're buying equipment. I don't know what's going on. I think in New York now gyms are back on with limited capacity. So
they are back on, but then you go and like half the people are wearing the mask like this. They're not covering their nose, or they just take it off when they're doing their set, and it's kind of like
lots of challenges there. Yeah. So I would say, setting just, proclaiming a resolution. While I'm a big fan of public declaration, because I think when you alert your community to something that you want to accomplish, I think that they gather and they rally around you and they want to push you over the finish line and do everything they can. But by the same token, it makes you accountable to them, because once you involve people in your goals, and you are updating them on a frequent and public basis, well, then you start to feel that pressure. A couple of years ago, Mitch, I'm sure you remember, I came up with the 100 in 100 campaign. So I decided that I was going to go out and I was going to run 100 miles in 100 days to benefit the Be the Match Foundation. And I was posting on social media every 2 or 3 days. We raised a ton of money. I lost weight.
I remember that.
Shape. And the public declaration just kept me going. I mean, neighbors would literally come out and high five me along the way.
So we're talking about recruiting other people into our goal, and hopefully it's people who will root for us and cheer us on. And I think that's great. Your Tip Tuesdays I find particularly impactful, and that's how you're known. Like, you started making these 2 minute, 2.5 minute videos where you offered a specific phrase. They were really hard hitting, and they stopped you in your tracks and got you to think. And what is a Tip Tuesday that you could think of that might be good for you to share today?
I mean, my favorite is the one where it was all started, right? So Morizio number 1, right? Nothing happens without this. Doing something actually means doing something. So since we're talking about goal setting, yeah, you can whip out a piece of paper, you can write a bunch of stuff down, but if you're just going to look at it and leave it on your desk and you're not going to have an action plan, your daily battle plan, then, what'd you do it for? It was an exercise in satisfaction or your wife or whoever you're accountable to.
Okay, so you really have to make it. You have to make it a process, and I think that's to me is the big takeaway. Every goal that I've ever been able to keep has been a process, and it's a goal to me is a promise to yourself. And people break promises, but they work with process. I can't stress it any more than that. If you're results driven, you just put down the goal, and if you hit the goal, great. If you didn't, you're a failure. And that's the problem. People set themselves up for failure, and it makes it for you even harder to rise again.
Yeah, and you know what, Mitch, I have the data here. So I've spent about the last 6 months meticulously going over more than 20 years of my personal sales results in my own business. And I have a white paper that's coming out in about 2 weeks. It's just almost done in the final editing stages. It's called the 5 key elements of your success. I've been able to identify that in order to have consistent top sales performance, you must have all 5 of these keys running at all times. And one of the keys is focus. And if you don't have focus, you cannot have a successful year. That
sounds so simple, doesn't it?
It does sound simple, but you know what? People struggle with focus. And why do people struggle with focus, right? Certainly in this, I mean, you've been in financial services, you might be 3 decades now.
A little over 3 decades.
Yeah. So you understand that sometimes you have good weeks and bad, and sometimes you have good months and bad and good years and bad. It's just a fact. Inconsistency happens. And sometimes when we're on a downslope, we get other things that are distraction feeders.
How do you lift people? Because whether if you're planning for your personal use or your business use, a process is a process, and people think like a business process has to be more complicated than a personal process, but they're both complicated because we as humans, if things aren't complicated, we sure as heck are going to make them complicated because that's what we do. And that's a way of saying we overthink things to death instead of sticking to the process. What do you think of that?
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, we mentioned it a little earlier. You have to trust the process, but you can't just write down a process that's not actionable and will not lead you to the right place. Focus is one of those things where, one of my Tip Tuesdays is what you focus on grows. So if your eyes are gazed in the right place and your energy and you're driven, you're going to go to where your focus is. So when you are, if you're having a slump, for lack of a better word, you come to a situation where there's something called distractors and defeaters that I talk about. And what these things do is they take your eye off the ball. So when you're up in the morning and you're full of energy, your energy is focused on the wrong thing, and it's actually becoming counterproductive to your plan. So it's extremely important. That's why it's one of the 5 keys. You must have laser beam focus, and the only way to have that is to determine what to be focused on and make sure that it is the right actionable step that's going to take you to your destination. It's completely 100% about process on the focus side. Agree.
You know, my personal problem with this that interferes with my planning and process is, let's say, I want to call, I call clients, and then I look at how many clients I have to call, and I want to do it all at once.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's just one example. I want to call everybody at once, and you can't do that.
Right.
And what happens is something becomes so big in front of you that you just don't get started. Like, cause I'm looking at the whole mountain instead of just looking at the first step.
Right.
And I try to stop myself from looking at the mountain because I wrote it down. You see, I wrote the mountain down, the goal. But if I look at the whole goal, it's overwhelming.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you're right on to another Morizioism. By the inch, it's a cinch. By the yard, it's hard.
That's the one. That's my favorite right there.
That's it. So if you're breaking your process down into bite-sized chunks that are actionable and attainable and focused in the right direction, you're going to get it done. That's what I mean by a well-thought-out, documented process. And that's what your battle plan is. I've been developing this for 20 years now. And, my battle plan it's the roadmap to success every day in actionable steps. You can't call everyone at once, Mitch.
No, I blast email everyone at once, but I can't call everyone at once.
You can definitely do that.
With technology, we try to scale things up, but that you can't scale up a personal conversation
right
with a Facebook post or a blast email. So tell me, I want to pull something up here. I think this is pretty cool, and I checked it out before we went live, and it's your website, and it came out beautiful. I remember you telling me how you're putting this thing together, this website. It's gorgeous, and it's very simple and straightforward, and it's what is it? It's MorizioConsulting.com. And this is a really nice site. How long did it take you to put this together? Did you do this yourself?
I wrote most of the copy, since it is really my personal journey. It's my name on a plate.
Mm-hmm.
I provide the services personally. So we haven't scaled yet. So at this point, what you're getting is help from this guy right here. I'm the type of consultant that doesn't tell you about what I've observed in other people. I'm only going to show you what I do for myself. And with a couple of decades of experience, I can tell you I've had ups, downs, and sidewayses, and I now have it figured out. Consistency was the thing I craved, so I went on this journey, and I have it figured out, and I'm happy to help you with it. I do have an amazing designer that has helped me with the look of the page, Jenny Kwan. She's down there on the bottom, in the footnotes of the page. You'll find her. And also my logo designer was a fellow Marine, David Batan. Logo is very much Marine Corps inspired.
I see the colors. Those are the Marine Corps colors, right?
Correct.
Okay, you know how I know that?
From me.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Before we get to this, I just want to say Scott is out there. He says hello. He says, hi, Frank.
Hey, Scott Rosenberg. How are you, my man?
We got Daniel Buckley out here, two of the best right here. Thank you very much. Do you call him Dan or do you call him Buck or Buckley?
Buck and I worked together many, many years ago. Still good friends. We actually played some golf this past summer, long overdue. Buck's my man.
Okay. And we've got Mike Stewart. Okay. A common question I get is, should my goals be attainable? I have my own thoughts, but curious of yours. So should goals be attainable or should they be aspirational?
Those are two very subjective words, right? What is attainable? I don't know. We went to the moon before, right? Is there anything that we can't do? I'm not sure that there is anything that we can't do that we don't set our mind to, have a plan around, and focus on. Attainable is just it's too subjective on the term. I think I know where you're going with that. I think that, there are schools of thought on where to set goals, where if you set this really, I'm going to call it a BHAG, this big, hairy, audacious goal that is so unbelievably high that you're going to chase. And if you come up a little short, hey, congratulations, you get to keep all the money you made along the way. Some people believe that setting really, really high goals is extremely important. In my own business, I set reasonable goals that I know that I can attain if I have the process and I follow my process and I stay focused on it. So yeah, I mean, it's a personal thing. I don't really like to tell people how to think. I'm just going to tell you how I think.
Okay. And so tell me 88 to great. I really like the way it sounds, and I like alliterations like that, but this is a Marine thing.
So 88 to great, more than basic, it's my coaching program. It's for successful salespeople that have had success, are just struggling at times for consistency. Where does the 88 come from? So I spent 88 days in Marine Corps boot camp in 1991. And at the end of the process, the drill instructors who are there some will say that they're there to offer you the opportunity to earn the title Marine. Some will say that they're there to fail as many people out as possible. So only the best of the best get to earn the title. You get to decide which drill instructor you have, but they kind of, I have a relationship with my senior drill instructor, the actual man who trained me back in 1991. And he said that every single day of Marine Corps boot camp has a progressive, has a progression towards breaking you down and rebuilding you. Because you're already successful, you don't need basic training. I mean, let's face it, everybody's out there saying that they have a boot camp, but almost none of them went to Marine Corps boot camp. I'm uniquely qualified to deliver this style of training, but you don't want to be in basic training. You're a successful salesperson. I'm going to put you through a program that's going to help you document everything, get your actionable battle plan so that you can have the consistency at the end of 88 days.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And how do you do that? You do something outside of your comfort zone. You do it, and then all of a sudden, it's not uncomfortable. You might not love it, but it's not uncomfortable anymore.
I remember when you jumped into this live streaming game, and I was like, wow, I'm a little in awe of Mitch jumping in live, but I mean, come on, if Mitch can do it, I'm going to give it a shot.
Absolutely.
And you know me, I certainly loved it, and you helped me get my start, and you've been a mentor to me all along. But it was very uncomfortable. And now look at us. I feel like we have this over here on this side, we have this silly thing in the middle here, but I feel like we're just sitting next to each other, 6 feet apart, of course, and having a conversation. Yeah, it's over here. Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, buddy.
Get a little high five over there.
Here we go. Ready? Yeah, all right. I've never done that before, actually.
First time for everything. There we go.
So I guess the planning to me, and I'm very excited about this, is because I want to plan my 2021. I have my goals. I kind of know what I have to do. Mm-hmm. But then you actually have to break it down into actions. And, I mean, some of the actions are kind of mindless, and some of the actions are you need a lot of clarity and a lot of thought to go into those. Like when I go in for a client review,
of course.
I'm really clear on what we're going to talk about. I'm really clear on anticipating what any issues could be. And I'm really clear about pulling out of the client, what their thoughts are. And so I can figure out if I have to make any changes to their plans, their investments, anything about their financial lives going forward. But I'm looking forward to doing that for my business and for myself and for my kids. How do you get people to buy into a plan? You know, whether if you're a family man, you want your family to come along with you, or a business owner, and you're trying to pull the people behind you, your employees. You know, how do you get people to buy in? Because sometimes people are resistant. If I go and tell somebody, "Hey, this is how we're going to do things," they might nod their head, "Yeah, okay," but they could be thinking, "Bull, no way."
Yeah. So, I mean, my leadership style, again, the only thing I ever talk about are things I do for myself. I'm a transformative leader. So I'm going to lead by example. I'm going to show my staff that they are part of my team, that they are my partners, no matter what their job is, because, you know, the best of the best in any industry are specialists. They do one thing really, really well. Right? You know, Mitch, you just described your client review process to us, right? Now you've done that literally thousands of times in your career. You could do it with your eyes closed, but you know what you still do? You still prepare before the meeting. You don't just show up and wing it. You don't go off the top of your head. You
Oh yeah.
prepare. You prepare. That's what winners do. They specialize in exactly what it is that their action needs to be, and they make sure that they know how to do it. How do you get somebody to, you know, to buy into a business plan or, you know, a self-improvement plan? I don't.
Mike, I'm sorry. I just cut your line of thinking. I do that on live streams.
That's okay.
Mike Stewart says, "Very well said, Frank. Thanks." I
Oh,
didn't want to
thanks,
miss
Mike.
that, because that was a nice thing
And
to
thanks
say.
for that question. You know, again, that's a really, really subjective one. Yeah, you
Buying
did.
in, getting everybody to buy in. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
So getting people to buy in is it's not something I spend a lot of time thinking about, to be honest with you, because the folks that I work with, we all do have a common goal, and we goal set together, and we business plan together. So from a professional standpoint, you know, I don't think you need to go convincing people that they need to get on board with your goal. I think as a leader and as a business owner, you need to create a common goal that everybody understands what they benefit from and what the end result is. You know, great book that I read last year. Well, no, it's still 2020, sadly. Great book I read in 2020. Simon Sinek, Start with Why, and it was incredible for me to understand how some of the largest corporations in the world, like Apple and Southwest Airlines, you know, they became so successful because their leadership made a commitment to the why. This is why we exist, and we're not going to go and hire, you know, really, really smart people and then tell them what to do. You know, Steve Jobs used to say, go hire really, really smart people and then ask them what to do. So I'm not all.
They tell you what to do.
Exactly. So I'm not really all about the getting people to buy in. You either, you know, want to move forward and get to a next level, or you don't, and it's your personal choice. You know, that 60% of all sales organizations are in the movable middle. The movable middle are those folks that at times are in the top 10 or the top 20% of an organization, but most of the time they're meandering around in the middle of the pack. And for whatever reason, they're comfortable there. They might be complacent there. They might have a spouse that makes a ton of money and it's work optional and they're doing what's comfortable. But it's okay to be there if that's what you decide, right? I'm not about, you know, forcing people to get out of their zones. If they want to, I'd be happy to help them with that, though.
All right. So they come I mean, I assume that your clients are paying you money to be coach, so they're already motivated. But you still have to you still have to pull people along for the journey and make sure that everybody is, you know, aligned with purpose, and that is something that is, you know, tough to instill. Real quick, I just want to ask you one more thing from a personal planning perspective. Look, it's one thing for me to make plans for myself. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get in shape. But, you know, I have kids.
Yeah.
I'm married. My wife and I have goals as a family. Like, when we plan our goals for a family, you don't think in terms of putting it down in a process or spreadsheets or however you want to do it, because that's for business. That's like very, I don't know, antiseptic maybe is the right word, but I think you could really do the same thing when you're planning for your family goals. I think sometimes taking that approach could work. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, and I'm going to try to show you something here if you can see it. I don't really think you can. I can't get in front of the camera too well. So this is my daughter's handwriting, and it says "Dream, Work, Win." And I had it tattooed on my arm a few years ago. My daughter is a competitive dancer, and I think it's 2 years, maybe 3 years ago now, she had a really, really great season. And then, turning 10, turning 11, I don't know what goes on. I've never been a 10 or 11-year-old girl, but she wasn't feeling all that confident. And we were coming into a new season, and she was kind of down on herself. And, I had a conversation with her about it, and she was just concerned that she was not going to have a successful season. So we talked about it, and I kind of led her through some steps in a very fatherly way, but also with, using my business experience. And I asked her what she defined success as. What did she want to accomplish in the season? And she told me, if I could, if this would be my dream, I want to X, Y, and Z. I said, okay, so how do we go about getting there? And she's like, well, I got to practice. I got to practice. Right? Oh, so you have to put in the work, right? Yep, you got to put in the work. And when you dream and you put in the work, sooner or later, what's going to happen is you're going to win. And she wrote it down. She put it up on the refrigerator, and we watched it all year long, and we talked about it all year long. This one doesn't have too silver of a lining. She did not have a successful season, but she understood why. And coming into the next season, I went and tattooed this on my arm for her to show my support and to show that she actually taught me something, that even if you do dream and work, you don't always win. So it's really about defining what that win is and making sure that you can have wins every single day. This is a win for me. I got to spend a half hour with my friend Mitch Goldberg talking to his community, talking about planning for 2021. I know that I always give value out of conversations with Mitch. I know that, Mitch's community is now going to come back to him, and they're going to ask him for follow-ups. So for me, what did I do? I really had a conversation with my friend, but I'm checking this off. This is a win for me today. This is something I was able to achieve.
Well, it's always great to speak with you. I can't wait for your white paper to come out so I could share it with everybody. Thank you. Thank you for your time as always, man. And I know we will probably speaking. I know we're going to see each other in a Zoom call on Friday morning.
Correct.
So I'm looking forward to that. And I'll see you soon. This is great stuff. All right. Take care.
Thank you very much, Mitch.
All right. Let's wave to everybody like we do in a Zoom call. All right. Bye, everyone.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.